Now, ties between Korea and the United Kingdom stretch back many decades, and one group that's been there most of that time is the British Korean Society in London, which is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. Our Kwon Jang-ho sat down with its executive chairman, who is also a former British ambassador to Korea, to talk about that relationship.
South Korea and the UK have had diplomatic ties for 67 years now. And during that time, the UK has stood by South Korea as a firm ally through war, economic development and as a global trade partner. Much of that has been seen firsthand by Warwick Morris, a former British ambassador to Seoul who began his long relationship with Korea as a student at Yonsei University in 1975.
I was a young diplomat in my 20s and I was interested in learning a hard language. And the foreign ministry at that time saw Korea as a developing economy and an increasingly important place, and decided to train one or two young diplomats in the Korean language, and I was selected. I think I really didn't know where Korea was when I was told I was going to study Korean. But as it's turned out, you know, it's been the sort of main element in my diplomatic career.
Over the next 33 years, he would spend 3 diplomatic stints in Korea, including 4 years as the British ambassador. He saw Korea grow from a post-war nation struggling to find its feet to the economic global power it is today.
In '75, South Korea was still a relatively poor country. It was about $800 per annum per capita income. More than 50% of the population was still working in fishing and farming. In '75, it hadn't even built a car or a large ship. That was all coming over the next very few years. And the Hermit Kingdom label in the '70s was pretty true. South Korea was very much focused on itself. Now I'm glad to say it's much more outwardly focused.
How has British-Korean times changed along with that, with those times as well? I mean, what have been some of the biggest changes?
As I said, South Korea is now much more outward-looking and outward-going. So the two governments and the two countries work together on the international stage. They lobby together. They take practical action together. Ebola outbreaks, we worked closely together. Anti-piracy. So all these areas, really, this didn't happen 30 years ago. But it's, you know, South Korea has become a global player, and we're very pleased to be a partner with South Korea very often.
The kinship between Korea and UK can be seen in the London-based British Korean Society, which is a group formed shortly after the Korean War, and which has celebrated its 60th anniversary this year. Warwick Morris has been its executive chairman since 2009.
It was a place for British people who knew about Korea to meet with each other, and Koreans who had moved to live in the UK were pleased to have British friends who knew about Korea. Korea is not always very well known here. There's still work to be done to make Korea better known, modern Korea. You know, there's still people who think, you know, there was a war, wasn't there, you know, who are not really plugged into modern day Korea. And I'm sure in Korea there are people who think it's always raining in London and then we all wear bowler hats. And so there are always image things to get over. And I think that's best done through, you know, through tourism, through people traveling, through people coming and going and meeting, and building personal relationships.
Morris said the society is looking to grow and that the British public's interest in Korea is changing the dynamic between the two nations. Arirang, he says, could benefit from that.
There is more interest in Korea now, undoubtedly, in terms of Korean food in London and the familiarity with films and music and dance, particularly among younger generations. So yeah, I think there'll be curiosity. People will be curious and interested to see how Korea's changing and what Korea's output is these days. So good luck to you.
Yes, thank you again for your time, and we hope you continue to help build bridges between Korea and the UK.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.